of these restaurants closed down because all these restaurants, each outlet that you should start should be operationally positive, profitable by 6 to 8 months. So in manufacturing, as a setup, you have to definitely lean on automation to ensure that you have a scalable business. Otherwise, you can make a scalable business. You have to put in a lot of money and you have to handle a number of people. Right now, we have a Momo line. It's again a different machinery, different technology that makes each line makes 8,000 pieces an hour.
An IT engineer builds automated Momo making machine, Zomos. Hello everyone and welcome to our channel Tools Villa. We are thrilled to introduce you our esteemed guest, Mr. Shobik Dhar, a DRDO scientist who has created wildly successful Momo brand called Zomos, utilizing the automation. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right. So, sir, working at DRDO, definitely a very different experience. People dream to do that. Okay. And you started a completely separate business, separate working. Okay. Could you please share your experience working at DRDO as a scientist?
Sure, sure. Thanks again for having me on this channel. In fact, I got into DRDO through campus placement from my engineering college, and I worked as a radar scientist there in a lab called LRD in Bangalore. I worked there for 4.5 years to be exact, and it was a great experience. In fact, for me, it molded my curiosity to kind of look for solutions where there are no solutions available, and the peers around me actually helped me through the process. They helped me grow as a professional, as a scientist also. So I worked primarily in radar systems, Air Force and naval radars. So we used to make systems for their for ground-based radars that used to track aircrafts. We used to make naval radars that used to be on the naval warships. So the initial 2.5 years were dedicated to making systems, making these radar systems, and then I had a great experience installing those systems in the warships. And I was part of radar trials, both the Air Force and the naval radar trials. So that was a great experience for me.
What actually inspired you? Like, that is a complete different path, and this is like, Zomos as a career path. Please share, like, what actually inspired you and motivated you actually.
So, in fact, 4.5 years down in DRDO, I was beginning to think that I have seen systems through an entire life cycle. Now I am ready to take up a bigger role in the Indian defense industry. So that prompted me to go for management studies. So I applied to different B schools in India and abroad. I got into the Indian School of Business in Hyderabad. I still reside in Hyderabad, and my plan A was to go into an aerospace and defense company and kind of utilize my past experiences. But then the Indian School of Business changed me a lot, and wanted to try new things, and I wanted to go into entrepreneurship very, very badly by the end of graduation from ISB. I started a consulting company to start with. I consulted for a few aerospace companies who were setting up operations in an ACZ in Hyderabad. Then moved into starting my own consulting company. Ran it for about a year and a half. And then I left that company because I did not see scalability in that. Consulting was a very, for me at that point in time, it was a very time consuming process. So I thought that I would rather do something that would actually align with my interests. Some initial money that I had saved to start something on my own, that was when I thought, let me start something which I actually hold very close to my heart. The reason being, I'm from the Northeast. I'm from a small town called Silchar in Assam, and momos and dumplings were very popular over there. And in Hyderabad at that point in time, the exposure to momos and dumplings were not there at all. There were a few momo stalls outside the shopping complexes and high footfall places, right? So I thought, there is no momo brand. There was no momo brand at that point in time. I thought, let's start a brand around momos that actually marries my love for the product, as well as I always from the beginning thought that I could start something in manufacturing, which I have been a part of in my DRDO days. So this was what actually prompted me to start something in this industry. But then later on, things changed. There were a lot of requirements that came up, and then great, my past experiences helped me in molding the company.
Your thought actually made other people lucky to have tasty momos. So please share what are the initial challenges you faced while starting with your business.
Yeah, so initially I started out of a 2 BHK apartment. We had around 10 people rolling momos by hand. Most of them were from North Bengal. They were Nepalis from North Bengal. They were very adept at rolling momos by hand. I started with a small kiosk in a mall called Inorbit Mall in Hyderabad here. We still run that outlet. So we were very happy with the feedback, with the sales in the first few months. And supplier who used to supply to PVR multiplexes approached us and said that our momos were good and they would want supply for all the PVR locations in Hyderabad. And we were kind of very excited. We said, yes, why not? Let's go ahead. But then we started supplying 2 months and 3 months down the line. We realized we just could not make the number of momos that were required. And that was the point that I realized, just can't scale the business like the way I've been doing. So we can't have skilled employees rolling momos by hand. And that was going to be a bottleneck for me to scale the business further. Each employee, somebody who's skilled at rolling momos, can roll, say, in a 6-hour day, because the employee does a lot of other things also before that. In a 6-hour time period, an employee can roll about 1,000 pieces of momos. That more or less is an average speed of a skilled employee rolling momos. So just by doing some basic math, I found out that if I have to make 1,00,000 pieces a day, I'd have to have 250 people rolling momos by hand. Then the sense dawned on me that, let's start thinking of automating the processes, because there is no way to scale a momo business other than that. That is why you see Wow Momos as the biggest player in the industry right now in India. They are very, very big. There is no player that you can even call the distance second. The reason is primarily this: people don't want to get into such a skill labor back-end dependent process because it's difficult to scale. So we kind of took a step back, imported a couple of machines from North China. So and then we saw that ourselves. Oh, these machines never made momos that were that could actually replicate our handmade momo. And that was the point I realized. Okay, this needs some innovation to kind of ensure that these machine-made momos are better than the ones made by hand. So very important thing in a momo is a filling to wrapper ratio, right? Generally, a very attractive filling to wrapper ratio of about 1.8 to 2. So the weight of the wrapper should be half or even less than half of the weight of the filling. So that way we started thinking of how could we change these machines. So we opened these machines up. These machines were relatively simpler machines at that time. The problem in those machines were the proportion of dough was very, very high, even higher than that of the filling. So we had to change that. So that was some R&D that was required. And of course, I was very, very happy doing that. I thought of nothing else for, I would say, about a year or so, more than a year, where I just had to ensure that I'm able to, lower the proportion of the dough and make the proportion of the filling higher so that I can replace the handmade momos. And it happened. It took about 15 months for us to ensure that the momos that were made by these machines were better than the ones made by hand. Thankfully, my DRDO experience helped. I had a few colleagues also who, gave me inputs that, why don't you do things like ABC? And then based on that, we kind of finalized a machine that was better than that could replace the handmade production. And I was overjoyed, back in 2017, 18, I would say. That was the time where I realized, oh, great. So we don't have to depend on getting skilled labor for the momo forming process. We can use these people, the ones that are already there, We can use them in outlets. They can take more. They can take roles of better responsibilities.
Mechanization has played a great role in your momo making. So initially, once you started, what was the quantity produced? Okay, and one very important thing which is coming into my mind, because it is a machine made. Okay, how you are maintaining the quality and the taste?
Initially, when we started, I think in the first year, we were making 4,000 pieces a day. That was on an average what we were making with these 10 employees that were rolling momos by hand. Once we obtained the automation bit, that capacity went up to 18,000 pieces a day, and using 6 staff in the forming process, and the capacity increased almost fourfold. So right now it's a different process. Right now we have a momo line. It's again a different machinery, different technology that makes, each line makes 8,000 pieces an hour. So it's a huge jump from what we used to make initially to what we are making currently at this point in time. In terms of the quality, actually mechanizing has helped us ensure that the quality is standardized. So in the momos that we make right now, exactly in each momo, we know this is the amount of the filling that goes into it, and this is the amount of a wrapper. For example, if we make a 25-gram momo, on an average, the wrapper would be an 8-gram wrapper, which is the dough that would encrust a 17-gram filling. Now, the filling, although it is also automated, but then the PLC or the IPC that determines how long do we have to cook the filling, and everything is automated that way. So we knew exactly how the filling should taste. We knew exactly how much wrapper and how much filling goes into each momo. That has been standardized, and for that reason, we have one central facility in Hyderabad, and we send the momos from Hyderabad to 6 to 7 different cities now. A person having momos in, say, for example, Pune or Chennai or Bangalore, for example, will get the same taste as a person who is going to have our momos in Hyderabad or Mysore, Mangalore, all these places. Right? So that way, automation has helped us a lot in ensuring that the product is standardized and the tastes are also standardized. So because we have minimized human intervention to a point where it doesn't affect the quality every batch. So we do come up with newer items. We have chefs who kind of work regularly on coming up with. So we have recently started a butter chicken momo where we cook the chicken. It's like a butter chicken gravy with minced meat, and that is, again, we innovate on the filling. So this currently the momo line, that they are pneumatic compressors that are in the machine. So we have the entire process is driven by a PLC, programmable logic controller. So that PLC has so there are two parts to the machine. The first part, it actually we mix the dough and we put the dough in a hopper, and that dough goes from that hopper through 4 rollers. It rolls the dough into a sheet, and so there are 4 rollers that actually make the sheet thinner. So from the first hopper, I would say a 10 millimeter or a 1 centimeter thick dough comes out, and that same 1 centimeter thick dough, it becomes thinner and thinner and thinner. Ultimately, it becomes a 0.7 thick sheet of dough. So that is an input to a forming machine, and everything is, there's no human intervention here. The forming machine, actually, you have a sheet, visualize a sheet below, and the forming machine will cut these sheets. There are these cutters, and these the cut portions, they are the wrappers of the momos. So they will be placed in a rotary table, and when the rotary table goes round, the filling comes from the top. There is a filling hopper, and through a pneumatic process, so an air compressor, it pushes the filling, exactly the amount of filling that is required on top of the dough, and then there is a rolling process that rolls the momos and then takes those momos out. So it's an entire line. If you can visualize that, I mean, that's how the automation in the forming part works.
If you would like to, convey any message or any idea you could give, that how important is mechanism in food business?
So I just took an example of biryani because I did not So I didn't mean that biryanis can't be, I mean, the process can't be automated. It can be, and people are doing that. Any company, for that matter, is trying to employ automation and get the best out of it. You can name anything, rotis, chapatis, samosas. There are all these processes can be mechanized. So we have recently started making these chicken meatballs. Those are also, and we are using the same Momo machines. From there, we are using a crankshaft kind of a mechanism that makes chicken meatballs. So if you have the will to do it, you definitely can. And it really, really helps anybody who is in, I would say, any kind of a manufacturing setup. This is something that has to be a top priority. Of course, initially, anybody can start. You start with, because initially you won't have that scale to invest or, invest your time and money in automation. But then later on, when you see that the business is picking up, if at all it is picking up, then you need to take a call. And I would suggest a call very early on to kind of think about automating processes, because that is what is going to make a business scalable. If I were in a setup where I'm making momos by hand, I would not be very confident about the final product that goes to customers, because in food, every order becomes a moment of truth, right? It can work, it might not. Some customers would like, oh, okay, oh, this is not great enough, oh, the filling is like this, the wrapper is like this. It is a fight, it is a battle every day. So in manufacturing, as a setup, you have to definitely lean on automation to ensure that you have a scalable business. Otherwise, you can make a scalable business. You have to put in a lot of money, and you have to handle a number of people. It will be a very people intensive, ops intensive process. And the moment you have more people, you need to think about how they grow in the company as well. That is also a very big challenge for a lot of F&B companies, where there's a lot of attrition. Focusing on automation, putting time and money in the places that actually matter, is going to make a business scalable and make it suitable for growth. This is what I feel.
From last few years, already there are so much brands, in the market on momos. So, how does Zomos differentiate itself from similar business in the market? So, please share.
Yeah, so the first thing that we tell everybody, and we keep telling them, so our company byline is always better momo. Wherever you're having momos, we can claim that we are always in the process of bettering the product. And for us, the product is key. We haven't done any ATL. We don't do too much advertising per se. Our customers are themselves are advertisers, right? So one thing that has always stuck to the customer's mind is, the filling to wrapper ratio, as I was telling you a little while back. That is very important. Customers understand these. Customers are very smart in kind of figuring out, okay, this is what it is. Oh, isme to the filling is very thick and then it's very gooey, or they understand good product versus bad product. So in any business, not only in this momo business, in any business, if you don't have a hero product or a good product, you are not going to do it. I mean, advertising, marketing can take you only to an X point.
A certain point, right?
Right. And food business is something where it takes time for anybody to grow a brand, and that brand grows through goodwill of customers. So that's what we had focused on. We keep on saying that, we have a very generous filling to the amount of wrapper that we give. Compare us with any other player in the industry, we will be the best. So that has been our biggest, selling point for that matter. The second point, although I'm not saying that a lot of other players are not doing, but then we generally don't use adulterated content. If we use chicken momos, we have only chicken in those chicken momos. We don't use binders like use meal maker or soya in these chicken momos. We don't use those things. We are not going to make a customer eat our products if we ourselves are not going to be eating those. That has always been our motto from day one, and we still stick by that. I mean, these 2 points, I would say, has helped us in showing that we are different from the other competitors, and that has definitely helped us to grow the brand and spread the good word around.
Now we are going to talk about the packaging. So for good packaging, like what is the difference or things you keep in your mind, and how important packaging is for Zomos?
Packaging is very, very important. We a lot of our, after COVID, right, a lot of our sales have become online sales. So in online sales, is sales on these aggregator platforms like Swiggy and Zomato, you cannot have a good brand image if you don't invest or if you don't have good packaging around that. When we started, we had these aluminum boxes where we put momos and then we pack them and we send, right? Those days are long gone. Now we have PP boxes. We have, for the customer, the most important thing is a delivery rider comes to our outlet and picks up the product, and on an average the rider would take about, say, 30 to 40 minutes to reach a customer. By that time, if the momos cool down, then the entire thing experience goes for a toss. However good our momos might be, customer will say these thande momos aa gaye. So this is not going to work out at all in the end. So we did a lot of R&D while choosing the right packaging, right from the boxes to what we are, sauce cups. I mean, we have to think of, okay, we can't just give the sauces on the boxes. They will spill while transportation. We'll have to have good sauce cups. So which are the sauce cups that will not spill? Okay, so when the customer opens the momo pack, we have to have a wide sauce cup, not a very narrow one, because somebody has to dip the momo and eat. Right? All these things are very, very important for you. Put your the customer thought process inside you, in your mind, and based on that, you kind of think about packaging. Then it really works. So we had to do all these things to kind of come up with proper packaging that works, and it actually is working right now for us.
So again, with the packaging part, so have tools played a vital role evolving that way?
Yeah. So definitely, although they are all these packages are outsourced, we are in the process of filing for 2 patents. So one is a process and one is a product patent. The product that is going to be patented is a product where you can put the momos in a particular way, and then you can directly heat them and eat. So there's a special packaging that we are building from scratch, and that being, so making the mold for these packaging products and then getting them mass produced. So the entire process of getting that product ready is something that we are kind of doing. So we have focused on what kind of materials would be best for this particular packaging, and that way we are kind of finalizing that.
So it is very difficult, say that in food business, these days it's difficult to make money. Okay, so can you share what mistakes, like generally the food business owners make in their initial stages, or like maybe you have also learned something, like maybe some ups and downs, and what are the suggestions?
See, food business is not a tech business that will grow, for 5 to 6 times every year. So food business, if you start a food business, it has its own gestation period to grow. So anybody it depends on what kind of business model that an entrepreneur would have. If it's a B2C business, and you are building a brand, there's a different thought process to it, versus if you are building, say, for example, a B2B business where you're white labeling solutions in food. So there are a lot of B2B players, even in momos as a category, who are making momos and then they are selling it to somebody who are selling it in their own outlet. So that's a B2B operation. For that, that is relatively a lower capex operation, because whatever capex you need to make in your manufacturing, and then you need to look for clients or other restaurants who take your momos and then use and then they sell. So that is effectively relatively a lower gross margin business, but then a very high operating margin business. Like that means the food costs are going to be about 65 to 70% of what you sell, But then beyond the food cost, or say, for example, a transportation cost, there is nothing much in terms of expenses that you will have. Right? So you will have a very healthy operating margin of about 25%. If you are building a brand in a B2C setup, you need to invest in a store. For us, we generally invest in smaller stores. We have our stores are 100 to 150 square feet in size, because everything that we sell we make in one central place, and there we reheat and sell again. Right? So we don't need too much space. We don't need a kitchen space there. But even a 150 to 200 square feet place, say in a mall, say for example, we need to spend a lot of money in branding. So generally, a lot of these F&B entrepreneurs, they go down to the field with a lot of enthusiasm, and they spend a lot on branding the brand, the outlet, spend a lot of money in that. But the thought process of how much would be the ROI for that particular outlet, right? So if you say, for example, spend 10 lakhs in making an outlet, you need to ensure that the outlet becomes, gives the ROI in about, at max, in about 18 to 20 months. That is the max. That is a very, very big red flag. And that's why a lot of these restaurants, 95% of these restaurants close down, because all these restaurants, these owners in these restaurants, they put in their hard-earned money, a lot of money in decorating and all, doing all these things, and later on, it just doesn't break even for quite some time, and then forget about the ROI. So that is very, very important in food business. If you are building a B2C brand, you need to be very conscious about how much you spend in an outlet to ensure that the ROI happens. Each outlet that you should start should be operationally positive, profitable by 6 to 8 months. For a retail outlet, for a cloud outlet, you can give at most 12 months for that to be operationally profitable, because the cloud PNL is different. But then if the outlet doesn't become profitable by that time, you should take a very hard call of closing that outlet down. I mean, these are certain things that I had made a mistake of initially, and I would not want any F&B entrepreneur to kind of make the same mistake, because I see these mistakes being repeated often.
What are the additional plans you have for Zomos in future?
We are planning to give out franchisees now. We plan, and we decided, which part of India we need to start giving franchisees in. As far as the future plans are concerned, so I'm happy with the kind of growth and product acceptability that the market has given us. We are planning to go deeper into the western part of India. So for the first 6 months, we will be entrenching our operations in the southern states where we're already operating in. So Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, in all these states, we're going to open more retail outlets. Then we're going to go into the western part of India, go deeper into Bombay, Pune, Gujarat, Rajasthan also. So northwest, it becomes northwest. And then we are going to go into Delhi. Delhi NCR is the biggest market for momos. It's going to take about, I would say, at least 12 to 18 months for us to kind of go into Delhi NCR. And then definitely the eastern part of India to cover. So India itself is huge, and I see a lot of traction in tier 2 cities. We don't need to think of opening outlets in just Bombay, for that matter. We can open outlets in Kolhapur, Solapur, all these Nashik, Nagpur, all these states, all these tier 2 cities nearby. We have seen our product traction in tier 2 cities is far greater than the ones in tier 1 cities. For example, in cities like Mysore and Bangalore, where we are operating out of, we see great traction over there. So India is huge. We don't even have to think of going out of India and doing something. If we are able to cover India, that itself is actually a great achievement for us, and that's what we plan to do in the next 2 to 3 years.
So at present, how many outlets are operating?
We are at 74 right now at this point in time.
Okay.
So we'll see, as the next target is 100. As soon as possible, in the next few months, we are going to reach 100. And after that, after we reach 100, I would say we are going to go into the Delhi this year.
Definitely. Indeed, you will be able to very soon, and lesser time. So, sir, if I just ask you, what is the turnover last year?
So we are at about 25 CR in turnover. That happened the year before. And let's see, fingers crossed, this year we are
Definitely.
going to touch about 35 to 40. But then let us hope that we reach there.
Definitely, sir. Indeed, you will be able to, sir. Our best wishes. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your valuable informations. And we believe that this information will work for many of us. And we are proud to have you on our channel. This interview will undoubtedly inspire countless entrepreneurs in the food industry of India to take action and create lasting impact. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind
Thank you,
words.
sir. Thank you so much. Namaskar.